Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Atelier Nekozuki podcast. My name is Katie, and this is episode 58, I do believe. If it's different, it'll be down here. You can find me across all social media as Atelier Nekozuki, and welcome to the podcast. I know I said I was going to try for every 2 weeks. Obviously, I completely failed on that. But I do have lots of exciting news to tell you, and I actually got lots of knitting and spinning done in that period as well, so hopefully it balances it out, at least a little bit. I'm coming to you from Cochrane, Alberta, Canada, and let's get right into it. Let's start with the knitting. I recently have cast on another pair of socks. I don't have any of my faux with me, so I'm sorry for that. I think I did finish something between my last recording and this one, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But here's a new pair of socks, and it is actually quite neon. The camera is not really lying about that. And it's out of Regia Fleur-Mania. What this is going to be is a mismatched pair, so one of these socks will be for Dallas, and one of these socks will be for me. And then I'll knit another matching sock so that we have matching couple pairs, because I am just that sickingly sweet. It was actually one of his suggestions. I was like, I should knit like one sock for you and then one sock for me out of the same ball of yarn, because I don't always have enough yarn to knit 2 socks for Dallas at the height that he actually likes. So he's like, yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, awesome. It'll be cute. Then the other thing I have worked on and almost finished, I am so close on this, is the Nanilchik Swancho. So I've got the body done, and now I'm just working on the tiny little sleevey, which is making me giggle every time I see it, because it's like so tiny compared to the rest of this that it's insane and hilarious. You're supposed to knit this sleeve for about 7 to 8 inches, but I have ridiculously long arms for some reason, especially apparently between like my forearm, between my elbow and my wrist. And so I'm going to actually have to knit about a 10-inch cuff, which compared to the rest of the body of the Swancho is not that bad. But honestly, I'm over it. I'm ready for it to be done, and I just like want it to be done. I'm also going to probably rebel and actually not weave in my ends. I think what I'll do is I will knot them. But there are so many ends on this thing because, well, it's color work. But so many ends. So I think I'm just going to knot together where I can. I'll leave it in the bottom and the top end where you would actually see it, and then just knot the rest down further into the sweater. But nice even floats. I did switch from catching my floats to not catching my floats towards the end, and everything seems fine. I think it actually kept it more even not to catch my floats, to be honest. And it's a worsted weight, so it's not like, and it's not mittens, so it's not like my fingers are going to get stuck putting my hands into this. So considering that my arms also like are separated from my body as well, because it's technically a poncho with sleeves, I'm not too worried about getting caught up in the yarn over, or the floats in the back of the sweater, which is the main reason I generally catch floats more than anything. So that's the other thing I'm working on. I am working on a design project that I cannot show you right now. So the last thing I just cast on last night is a bulky brioche cowl, and that's exterior. Sorry, my yarn apparently went through the cowl itself. So this is it right here. I have decreased in here because it's massive. Like, I could almost fit that over my shoulders, massive, to be honest. So yeah, this is I'm knitting this out of Molly Girl Rockstar XL. It's really interesting, bulky. It's really, it's velvety and very heavy. It's something that I picked up at TNA to test out, and it's interesting. I'm kind of already over the brioche, although I do want to knit some other projects in brioche. So it's been a good learning tool. I've had to cast it on a few times, and it's part of the reason why, even though it's large, I'm just going to decrease instead of casting it on again and redoing it again. I am using the Sock Matician 1 Pass 2 color brioche so that I don't have to knit 2 rounds of it. I'm just knitting one, and this is the exterior, although it's reversible, so here's the interior, and I'll probably wear it more this way. And we have a kitten visitor. He's trying to come steal the yarns. He's like, Mom, I want the yarns. He is such a wool thief. He actually stole one of my bats the other day and took it upstairs and then tried to tear it apart in the living room upstairs. Because he's insane. And he's getting so big. Look at him. He's almost 2. Well, he'll be 2 in September 14th, because that's his birthday. Anyway, every time I come home from one of these events and I haven't seen him for a few days, I'm like, how did you get so big? You're so much bigger than I remember. And legitimately, a lot of the time he is, actually. Alright, so I don't have any foes to show you because I fail at that, or I don't remember that I have any between last recording and this recording. But I do have lots of spinning. So I actually plied some yarn that had been mostly spun up for about 3 years. This is one of the 2015 colorways from Sweet Georgia Fiber Club. And I spun it and then did a 2-ply. So it's supposed to be for the Broadway shawl. I don't know though if I have enough color of the other two, but I think this will at least be the contrast color in it. The Broadway shawl is by Shannon Cook, and it's super cute, and I'm really excited to knit it. And I think, yeah, this will at least be the contrast color, and maybe I'll add some commercial in so that I just have enough yarn and I don't have to worry about it. I did spin some Gotland and Romney for it, and they're just upstairs drying right now because they're quite thick. Then I also finally 3-plied this, which is from Wacky Windmill. It's a BFL nylon blend, and it's a 3-ply intended for socks. I did not get enough yardage to actually get a full pair of socks, but I'll get shorty socks out of this. Between the 2 skeins, there's another skein upstairs that's still drying as well because I washed everything yesterday. And then there are 3 other skeins that are upstairs drying, so I will show them to you next time I record. So there's those 2. And that is it. I'm currently spinning some more of this Sweet Georgia Fiber Club Merino Tencel. It's a 50-50 blend, which I'm actually really enjoying because the Tencel really balances out the Merino. And so I'll show that to you next time, because what I'm doing is I'm going to spin a 2-ply, 1 ply being the 50-50 Merino Tencel, and the other ply being a 100% Falkland, actually. And the Falkland is a little bit darker, so it'll really nicely offset the Merino Tencel, because the Merino Tencel is very bright. It's got a lot of white in it, and then the other colors are really bright as well. What else? Let's see. I've been reading quite a bit too. I finished Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan, and I really enjoyed that. I wanted to read it before the movie came out this summer, so now I'm all ready for that. It's really interesting to read since I did go to Singapore when I was actually abroad in Japan. Very different perspective though. It's like insane to think that people are that rich on that island, and I'm sure it exists. So I read that. I read The Shape of Water, which is a companion novel to the Shape of Water movie, and really enjoyed it. It actually helped balance out a few things that kind of freaked me out with the movie. And it actually confirmed the suspicion that I had at the end of the movie. So that was nice that I was able to read that in the film. And then right now I am reading The Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir. And I'm enjoying it. It's the 4th book. It came out on the 12th. And I was able to pick it up when we had our layover in Denver, because that's the exciting thing, is chatter. So there'll be a little bit of shop news at the end, but most of this rest of this episode will be chatter. So if you just are here for the knitting and the spinning, I will chat with you when I record next. I'm not going to promise anything. But if you want to stick around, be my guest, please do. So let's see. The last time I recorded, I would have been to Japan with my niece. That was a fantastic trip. And then it kind of settled out, except I had a couple shows. So I had a show on Mother's Day weekend in Calgary Spring Fiber Festival, and thanks for everyone who came out to that. And then Edmonton Fiber Frolic. holy people, thank you so much for your support there. It was quite a few more people than I was anticipating showing up. I had a tiny little booth, so thank you for braving the crowds to get into it. The setup time was quite restricted, so I was able to make an informed decision that I did not want to set up more than I did, because I wouldn't have had time. So that was a fantastic show. Had a really nice hotel up in Edmonton, actually, at the casino, one of the casinos, and then came down and spent a couple hours for my father-in-law's 65th birthday party. And both my mother and father-in-law are turning 65 this year, so it was a joint that, and it's their 40th wedding anniversary, I think, or 45th. I feel like maybe it's their 45th. So that was really good. And then Dallas was home early that week, so we did a lot of exercise. Holy crap. Basically, I started spin that week, which has been really good. I'm really enjoying that. So I've added that on with the yoga and the running, so that's fun. And then I'm actually going to go try bar with my niece tonight and see how I enjoy that. And if I don't, I'll just go join spin instead, and she can go to bar. And then, let's see, there was TNNA in Cleveland, Ohio. So I was at TNNA last year with Ancient Arts Yarns, and Caroline, the master dyer, graciously invited me back again this year. And it was awesome. Such a good vibe there, guys. And I was able to find some really cool products that I can add to the store here when I receive them. And then what else happened? Cleveland was interesting. In some ways, I preferred Columbus's downtown, but I prefer Cleveland for how easy it is to get in and out of the downtown. And like the convention center is practically right on a Great Lake, so I'd never seen the Great Lakes in person, and that was really cool to be able to actually see them. Like I've driven or flown over them and stuff like that, but I've never actually seen it. And then show was really good. We went to the Cleveland Aquarium, which was awesome. They had we lucked out and saw the octopus when he was getting fed, so he moved around a lot, which is super cool. And if you saw my social media, you actually saw the post of we all got matching shirts, the people who all went to the aquarium, so we wore them to the airport. And then the debacle started. Show was fine. We got down there fine. There's no problems crossing the border. There was no flight delays, nothing. Coming back, our flights actually got canceled. We were flying in, like, as a connection through Chicago, and the flight got canceled because there was really bad storms actually over Chicago. So we got bumped to the next day to go through Toronto and ended up having to stay the night. Thank goodness they gave us a voucher, so everything got charged back to the airline. But then we missed our shuttle from the hotel, so we had to get an Uber, and it turns out that another guy hadn't even known that you need to book the shuttle, which is what we did, but someone else snuck on. So we were able to all get a ride to the airport, and then we left on time. But the thunderstorms, we ended up in like a little express jet, so they're tiny, and the thunderstorms that we had to go around were insane, like in the diversion patterns that we had to do too. Like, I was quite glad that we didn't go through the big dark ominous clouds, but goodness, like just everywhere. Got into Toronto and rushed for our connection. We did actually make our connection, but they had bumped us onto a later flight so that we could our baggage could actually get there. Although I was giggling over the first flight because it's actually the one that goes from Calgary direct to Narita. So it would have been, I don't know, it made my heart happy. I would have loved to have been on that flight, but we got bumped an hour later. So by the time that we were done, Caroline said that this would have been our 8th flight between what we were booked on and what we actually got onto, because originally they canceled our flights and then sent us through Houston, which apparently was also having massive storms and like tornado warnings and potential floods and also a disaster. And it would have taken us like Houston, so Cleveland to Houston, Houston to Denver, Denver to Calgary, which is super inefficient. But the airline made it right, and the people at the hotel made it right, and we got home. Screwed up their week in the fact that I lost a day because I was supposed to be home late Tuesday night and got home instead on Wednesday. So, which was my birthday. I am now the eternal age of 29. And I did go do something fun. I was actually home by myself because Dallas is on shift right now. And after TNNA, I was toast. Like, if you've ever seen me after Knit City, I'm triply toast after TNNA. It's insane. Like, such a good show, but so much energy. It's insane. And I keep repeating that word, but it is true. Anyway, what I did go do is I went and got a new piercing. So I went and got my tragus pierced. And like Caroline pointed out, it looks like it has actually always been there, or that it hasn't at least been done very soon. I did want something a lot more ornate than this, but I'll end up changing it out once it's actually healed, which it seems like it's probably going to be pretty fast. It's still a little bit sore right now, but only if I really play with it. Like, I can't feel it. The first day, it was interesting because I have never actually done a needle piercing. The only piercing I have are my earlobes, and that was done with a gun, which we're now finding out is probably not the best way to do it, but that's what it was at the time. And that was also like nearly 12 years ago. But anyway, so I was laying there and I'd been told that it really hurts, and I was like, I still want it though. I've been thinking about this piercing for almost a year, so I was like, it's time to go do it. But the piercing lady put the needle through and then put the stud in, obviously, and said, you're done. And like, it hurt, yes, but it was so fast, it was absolutely insane. And it's just like, I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you're done. And it actually almost hurt more for her to put the bead on the back so that the stud actually stays in my in the piercing. So yeah, so bled a little bit, nothing too like horrid, and then came home and it's just kind of settled in nicely. The first day was interesting because it did actually feel heavy, like I knew I had something new there, and then it's just kind of settled out from there. It's actually really cool, and I'm enjoying it. I'm super excited to get some different jewelry into it when it actually heals. So that's another at least 2 to 3 months. It'll probably take about 6 to 8 months to heal completely, obviously, because it's healing from the outside in, so that's always good. And what else have we been doing? Lots of exercise. We did try to go hike Yamnuska at the end of May when Dallas was home for that extra few days, and we got chased, we're pretty sure, off of the mountain by a bear. Not like chased off, but we definitely left the mountain rapidly, because we were about 20 minutes from the top, and we heard this like woof, woof, and like, if you've ever heard a chainsaw from really far away, I would equate it to that. Like, it's like a ripcord sound, but like you're hearing it from a distance. And so it'd be like this really rhythmic sound, and then it would stop and listen, obviously, and then start again. And then we're listening to this, and it stopped enough that I was like, okay, well, let's continue, because it's stopped enough. And so we started up again, and the problem with where we were, we did not see anything, so we can't actually visually say that it was a bear, but we were continuing up the trail, and we ended up, if you've ever hiked Yamnuska, I don't know how many people actually have that watch, but you get into a really narrow corridor of trees, like single file sort of corridor, and we heard it again. And then there was a twig snap, and it's like, okay, it's time to turn around and leave. So because we couldn't see what was happening, this twig snap was quite close, no one else on the trail except for us, and it was just time to go. So we left, and then as we were leaving, a squirrel started chattering at us as well. So we're like, okay, this is a good decision, because even if it's not a bear, it's something that even the squirrel feels meh about. Got down the hill the mountain, and Dallas did a bunch of research afterwards, and apparently we did probably hear bear, and what we would have heard is woofing. So it's like it wasn't barking, it's woofing, like crossed with chuffing, because that's what I was thinking it was chuffing, because cats actually do it quite a bit in the house. They do that, and apparently it's a chuff. but it's actually a combination between the two. So if you look it up on YouTube, chuffing, bear chuffing, chuffing, no. Anyway, woofing, there we go. I was like, it's not chuffing, that's what we're just discussing. But it's woofing, and it's a really interesting sound. It definitely made both of us very, it's just one of those sounds that you hear and you know something's wrong. So I don't know what it actually was. We did encounter a gentleman as we were going down, and he said that there is a mama bear up there that likes to hang out in that area, and quite regularly she'll have cubs, so it probably was a mama bear with her cubs, because usually there's not much reason for them to be that warning either. Like, yeah, it was interesting. But we haven't been out since. Dallas is right now is actually, he was on a fishing trip while I was down at TNNA, and then he's currently working a 10-day shift so that he can have some extra days off in October. And it's the long weekend here in Alberta, or Canada, because of Canada Day, in this coming weekend. So I doubt we'll do any hiking this weekend because it'll just be absolutely insane everywhere. And apparently he has plans for my birthday, so we'll see what those are. But yeah, so it's been a good, however long it's been, I don't actually know right now, but gotten lots of knitting done, and hopefully I'll have more to show you when I record again. I really want to get this brioche cowl done because I did pick up the yarn at TNNA, and if it doesn't even hit my stash, that would be fantastic. I'm still trying to downsize the stash through knitting right now, so the Swancho is quite good because it used up a couple of things of, or it's using up a couple things of fisherman's wool, the big bulky yarn that I have, when I was still purchasing quite a bit of my yarn from Michael's. And then it also used up some leftover Patton's classic wool and Cascade that I've had around for a bit too. So, and then I've also had the Flormania actually for a while, and spinning up this fiber is really good too. So I am lazily participating in Stash Dash with the Knit Girls, and just seeing how much I can actually get done this summer. I'm up to around, I think, 800 yards right now. I haven't converted it to meters, but like that would be about, I don't know actually what it would be. 800 yards. I can convert kilometers to miles, but I can't do meters to yards, or yards to meters. But anyway, so that's what I'm working on right now. So I'm probably around 700, 750 meters. And I'll see where I get to with the Swan Show and all the other things. I'm not going to do any posts until I know how much yardage I have. Obviously spinning is going to boost that quite a bit because I think they've changed the rules about you can count each ply plus the amount that you actually ply. So if I have a 50 yard 3-ply yarn, I can count 200 yards because I've spun 3 plies, which is 150, and then the 500 is, or the next 50 as well. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'm really happy to, like, I need to clear up some of my drawers and tidy up the room that everything is in, because it's technically the guest bedroom and no one can get in there right now. So I need to de-stash some fabrics and some yarns. So keep your eyes open for that. It will be happening. And yeah, so a little bit of shop news. I have a absolute buttload of needle stashers coming up. Needle stashers are the little like DPN things that you, or circ things that you can put over your circular or DPN needles when you have a project on the needles, a whip. And what it does is it basically works as a point protector and stitch keeper so that your stitches won't slip off your needles. So I finished a bunch of those. I did tweak the design a little bit on these guys. They're going to only have 2 snaps, but I figure most people that's probably more useful than the 3 that I had previously. And then what else? Let's see, I've got those. I've got some box bags and wedge bags and big bags coming up as well because I did some new bags for Edmonton Fiber Frolic. And the next event that I will be attending is Salt Spring Island Fiber Festival, which will be the weekend of July 20th, 21st, I believe. I'll confirm those details before I record next time. And all this information will be in the show notes as well, including any other books that I have or have not read or am currently reading. So yeah, that's what's happening right now, guys. This is a little bit longer episode because I had a lot to chat to you about. I hope you all have a wonderful time until I record again, and I will hopefully chat with you sooner rather than later. Thanks, guys, and have an awesome day. Bye.